So we know how to find our way to the desired directory in terminal. But what if we need to create a file or a subdirectory in another directory? How can we do that? Well, first, let's open up our terminal. And by the way, another way that you can open terminal instead of right clicking and going open terminal here is going up here to this icon which says terminal emulator and clicking on it. By default, this will be inside of your home directory, which we know to be this sign. And if we type the pwd command, we get /home/Mr. Hacker directory. We know that our desktop directory is also inside of this directory. So let's go there. cd desktop, press enter, and now we are in the desktop directory. Let's get back to the files. To create a simple empty file, we can use a command called touch. If I simply just type touch file and let's call it file1, press enter, this will create a file named file1 and it will have no contents inside of it. We can also see that file1 has been created as it is right now on our desktop, since we created it inside of this /desktop directory. And if we also type ls, we can see that the file in our desktop directory. To make sure this file is indeed empty, we can use the command cat, and this command, once execute on the file, writes out all the contents that are inside of that file. Let's try it out. So we specify cat and then file1, press enter, and this will give no results since, as we already mentioned, the touch command creates empty files. If we want to, for example, put something inside of that file, we can use a command called echo. You simply just type it like this, echo, and put something you specify after the echo. Let's say today is a really good day. So we specified an entire sentence, and all we need to do is to put this sentence inside of this file, is to specify this arrow to the right. And after it is specified the name of the file that we want to put this sentence in. So echo today is a really good day into the file1, press enter, and if we get it once again with the cat command, so cat file1, we see that now it output exactly what we have written to that file using to echo command. Okay, that's good. But there is an easier way and more practical way to do all of this. We can use a text editor to write things inside of a file, and an easy text editor that we can run from terminal is called Nano. So let's try to do the same thing we just did using Nano. If we type Nano, and after Nano comes the name of the file that we want to edit, and since we want to edit a new file that we haven't created yet, we can simply just type the name, let's call it file2, and press enter. This will open this empty window where we can type anything we want. We can type file content here and it can be anything. We can type, for example, text here, but we could also type code if we wanted to. Let's start with text first. Let's write just hello world as a text. To save this, we press Ctrl O together and then enter to save under this name, and then Ctrl X to exit the Nano editor. If we now type cat and then file2, and by the way, we can notice that file2 has been created along file1 on our desktop. But if we type cat file2, we can see the output of hello world. So we managed to do it only using one tool, which is Nano, instead of using two tools, which are touch and echo. But they also mentioned we can do the same thing with programs. For example, how we can create a Python program using Nano and terminal. First we need to open a file. So let's type nano and then file3.py, and in this case we add .py because that is an extension for Python program. Then inside of it, after pressing enter, we are going to run a simple command which is print and then hello world between the quotes, and you will see that some stuff changes color. This is because the Nano editor recognized this as a Python program. What we did right here, in case you are not familiar with Python, is we just run a simple function that is print out this string that is between the quotes. So this will just print out hello world. Let's save it with Ctrl O, then press enter, and then Ctrl X to exit. And luckily for us, Python is already installed in Kali Linux. So all we need to do to run this program is to type python 3 and then the name of the file, file3.py. Press enter and the program will execute. Here it printed out hello world. Cool, right? We also notice that the icon is different than these two icons. This is also once again because this is recognized as a Python program. It even has the Python icon. Now that we know how to create files and execute Python programs, the next question will be, how can we create a directory? To create a directory, we can use the command mkdir, which stands for make directory. To check it out, let us run mkdir and name a directory folder. So press enter, and if I type ls, we will see that we got our files as well as the directory, which is different colors, and it is called folder. Remember, we differentiate them by color. And also, if I try to change the directory to the folder, it will work. It will even give us the path of /desktop/folder. In that folder, you can do pretty much anything you want. You can create subfolders or create files. Whatever you want to do, you can. To move, for example, our Python program from the desktop directory to our folder directory, we can use a command mb, which stands for move. We must first navigate back to the desktop directory. So let's do it using cd and then 2 dots to go one directory back, and from it we run the command mb file3.py into the folder. So we specify move, then the second parameter is what we want to move, which in our case is file3. And the last parameter is where we want to move it. We want to move it inside of our folder. So press here enter, and you will notice that the file3.py is disappeared from our desktop directory. We can also check that typing ls and notice that our Python program is no longer here. But if we go to the folder directory and type ls here, we will see it here because we moved it. Here it is, file3.py. Now this is a handy command and you will use it a lot. Beside moving the file, we also want to see how we can copy a file, and we can do it using cp command. This does the exactly same thing as move command, but it doesn't move it from original directory to this desired directory, it just copy it. So let's try to copy file3.py and call it file4.py. If I type cp, which stands for copy, and then file3.py, and I type file4.py right after it, this will create an exact copy of our file in the same directory. If I press enter and type ls, here it is. We got file3.py and file4.py. If we want to change whether they are exactly the same, we can get the content of file3.py and get the content of file4.py. And we can see they both the same Python programs. And last command that we want to cover regarding files is the command rm. This command deletes files and directories, and let's say we try to delete file for the py, that is our copy of our Python program. We can do it by typing rm and then file4.py. Now be careful with this command, since once you delete the file, there is no trash bin where you can retrieve it. It is just gone. If I press enter and then type ls, you will see our file4.py is no longer there. But how do we delete a directory? Let's first create a directory inside of our folder directory. And to do that, we type mkdir and let's call it folder2. Folder2 is a subdirectory of our folder. If I type ls, here it is. And let's see if we did create this directory by mistake and we want to delete it. Can we use rm folder2? Well, we can try it. Oops, cannot remove folder2, and it will tells us that it is a directory. So how do we delete it? Well, we will remove it in the same way we remove files. We just add an option at the end of the command. So type rm folder2 and then at the end add a space and then -r. Press enter and this will delete our directory. Also double check what you are deleting with this command. Since you go to our /directory, which is directory containing all folders and files in system, And if we were to type, for example, in that directory rm this star sign space dash r, this command would deleting entire Kali Linux machine with all of its files. So always pay attention. What exactly are you deleting from Linux and from which directory are you deleting? Since inside of the Linux, you will not be stopped in deleting anything you want. You can easily delete a crucial file for the operating system and make your Kali Linux machine unworkable. That is also a reason why we are practicing with virtual machine. Okay, great. We learned a bunch of the commands in this lecture. Now I got the practice test for you that you can try to do for the next lecture. Inside of our folder directory, we have our file3.py, and what you want to do using the commands you learned in this video is to copy that file in the desktop directory from our folder directory. So you want to copy file3.py from folder directory and paste it to the desktop directory. A hint is that it can be a little tricky once you copy file from some directory to directory. Anyways, just try it and we are going to see the solution in the next video. Thanks for watching. I will see you there.